First of all, guys, if you would like to support me, my PayPal will be in the description, so thank you all for your help and your support. So yeah, guys, I am back with a brand new episode, part 7 of What If Naruto Wasn't a Naive Idiot, guys. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new series over on Anime King of What If Naruto awakened the lost power of his ancestors. And enjoy that, guys. And also, if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels. I'll be posting all of the links down in the description, so go ahead, check them out and enjoy. So without further ado, or wasting more time, let us begin this now, guys. So, to do a bit of a recap for the last part that we left off, the only person in the world that kept Naruto going through everything, given the amount of emotional pain that Naruto has suffered, was Sakura Haruno. And now she was gone. Yes, she was gone. Never to be seen ever again. Gaara killed her for the sake of causing Naruto pain. Within that moment, the Nine-Tail remembers something that he was told by his father within the past about a man that awakened the first and last dark chakra. Due to his hatred for the sage, blaming him for everything that happened because he lost his family. And once again, this had somehow resurfaced. It seems like Kaizuru bloodline had not completely vanished away. Somehow it was within this boy. Or could it be that the link between chakra wasn't as thin as everyone thought, and this boy has somehow breaking through the barrier and awakened that power? Naruto released adamantine chains, but those were black. They seemed to fester and corrupt the very essence of the tail beast, as they were able to subdue the power that Gaara was pushing out, weakening Gaara as Naruto beat him until his hands were bloody. He ended Gaara's life. Both Temari and Kankuro attacked Naruto at once. However, even as Sasuke tried to intervene, Naruto took on the both of them, taking down Kankuro first. He seemed at least 3 times stronger than before. He then proceeded to butcher Temari with her own fan, as he did not stop until there was no life left in her. Naruto then walked and picked up Sakura's corpse as he just started to walk away, leaving the injured Sasuke. With that, the invasion started to come to a wrap, as Naruto had done something at the very end that no one knew about. Jiraiya came to find Naruto, as Naruto was different. Naruto was smiling. You could know that something was wrong because Naruto barely smiled, and the fact that Sakura had died. Her father had tried to console Naruto as well, having seen the blossoming friendship between the two, and how much Naruto cared for her. After all, Sakura told the stories about the missions where he risked his life to save her, and he had wanted to meet that young man and he met him. But now, he wished they were meeting once again under better circumstances, but it was not. His baby girl was gone. Jiraiya was surprised when Naruto agreed to accompany him as they proceeded to leave the village. They came across the very ferocious organization known as the Akatsuki. However, Jiraiya arrived just in time to save Naruto. They then found Tsunade. As Naruto proceeded to challenge her, they fought, Jiraiya believed that Naruto was playing on her own mind, her own sympathy, but at the end of the day, Naruto was already able to create the Rasengan. So something else was at play here, something very different. When they finally arrived towards the last phase of Orochimaru's plan wanting his hands to be restored, Naruto arrived and was hit by Kabuto, but at the same time, he hit him with a Rasengan. However, Tsunade saved his life. She saved him. Sasuke wanted to fight Naruto when he got back to the village, but Naruto told him that if they were to fight, he would probably kill him right here and now. So he did not try to fight Sasuke. However, the Uchiha decided to flee the village. Tsunade had Shikamaru assemble a team, had one of the members head along being Naruto. So with that, they made their way, going against these sound ninjas one after another. As they quickly made their way, they ran into Kimimaro, who appeared in the end. However, Rock Lee was there. As Naruto made his way, he stopped with Sasuke. That is when we found out Naruto's true intentions. He didn't want to live in this world anymore. Time and time again, he's been trying to allow his enemies to put him down, but his body kept on fighting, which made him realize that he didn't want to go away. Until he solved this broken world, he will fix it in her name. It turns out that Naruto was the one that stole the Forbidden Scroll. They believed that it was an enemy. How would they have so much information to break in? It was surprising, but Naruto was the one behind it, having already detailed information about it. He took something very dangerous, the Forbidden Scroll that Konoha didn't want to let out. He left behind word about his departure, as Naruto grabbed Sasuke and yelled at him, saying that he doesn't know anything. He never desired to bring Sasuke back, because he himself wasn't going to go back. Time and time again, he's been cursing at himself about the immorality of everything, but what's the point if you can't do something about it? So he said screw it. He was going to fix it himself. He warned Sasuke that if they met on the opposite side, past or present, he will kill him. Sasuke took Naruto's word to heart, knowing Naruto very well, seeing that look in his eyes. With that, the both of them separated. Naruto was praying that someone would stop him before he chose to go down this path, because when he does, there was no turning back, and the atrocities that he would commit in the sake of fixing everything would stay in his very essence for the rest of humanity. And with that, Naruto left the village. He left Konoha to come back better, to come back stronger, and he was gone. So yeah guys, basically let's left off, you guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs on the other channels. And yeah, remember guys, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. The links will be down in the description, so yeah, see you guys over there. Let's begin this now guys. We begin this episode within the Hidden Leaf Village, Konoha. Despite all that has taken place, it still stands tall as the strongest nation. Its power was still absolute. A lot has happened since that fateful day. It's been 3.5 years since Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha left Konoha. 3.5 years is a very long time, and during that time a lot has taken place. Tsunade had cemented herself as a 5th Hokage. Her name was going to be written within the history. Her face was decorated on that platform, just as 4 others that came before her, as she was currently residing within the office. Konoha and the Sand were on much better terms since their betrayal of joining with the wrong side, choosing to blame this on their Kazekage, know that the man was dead. After all, they needed to get back favor with the Hidden Leaf Village. The Sand was weaker than ever. Not only did they lose their Kazekage, but they also lost their Jinchuriki as well. And in the past 3.5 years, There has been no sign at all at said tailed beast returning back to the land of living. But it wasn't only that. The former Kazekage entire lineage was wiped out. And it was done by Konoha nine-tailed Jinchuriki, which was now gone. He had proceeded to slaughter all of them. Sasuke had told his sensei when he was still within the village that Naruto had butchered them right in front of his eyes. One of the main reasons why Kurenai had made her way to try and get Naruto back in the sessions, now more than ever due to the death of Sakura Haruno. However, now she understands why he was acting that way. He never desired to ever come back. He left a note. Yes, he left a note. It was short and brief, as much as she expected from him. I'm sorry, it read. I can't stay here and make any differences. I've complained, I've cursed time after time again, but that is not getting me anywhere. It's time that I make differences for myself. Don't worry, this won't be the last time that we will see one another, and I hope when I do return, you don't fight me. Jiraiya had made it his vow to find Naruto. However, for the past 3.5 years, by all indication, Naruto was dead. He was nowhere to be seen. He was gone. He just vanished. No one could find him. She even had some looking, and no one could find him. It was like he disappeared in the trenches of the world, to never be seen ever again. Jiraiya, their greatest spy master, could not find him. What hope did they have? And since then, it has been quiet. Extremely so. She knew that he was still alive though. She knew that he wasn't going to take matters into his own hand and put an end to himself. She's come to believe that she's known him enough to know that. Even Kurenai Iwai and Inoichi Yamanaka believed so as well. However, they were afraid to believe that Jonins like themselves would be afraid of a child. However, they more than anyone else understood Naruto mindset. Given the dexterity of everything, they broke confidentiality and told Tsunade a few of their sessions. She had no idea that Naruto's mind went to such a dark place and the lengths that he would go to do what he believed was right. He said things that terrified the both of them. To their very core, they believed that they could help him. However, they believed that after what happened, they might be unable to change anything. Tsunade now understood their fear after being told some of the things that was discussed, how exactly Naruto felt. You could look at him and never know that these things were going through his mind, how calm, how relaxed he seemed, but underneath all of that was something so different, so complex, so hard to understand. His final words was definitely a testament. He was hoping that she wouldn't fight him. After when he returned, there would be changes that he would bring, because he believed that he can't accomplish them within the village. So he left to do so. The more and more she read into it, the more problematic it sounded, as she hoped that they could weather through it when the day does arrive. Time skip. Meanwhile, within an unknown dark recessed area, a group of powerful individuals were currently discussing their plans. Word was given to the spy of the Akatsuki. But first, another with a spy network, a hunched over figure known as Sorcerer of the Red Sand, was currently relaying information. It seems something has happened to the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. He's left the village, but he's fallen completely off the map. There is a big chance that he's dead, and the beast has been destroyed. The leader was not pleased with this information, knowing that the tailed beasts will return after a while. However, the one-tailed Jinchuriki also took its final breath. It also died within Konoha, and so far there has been nothing. The chakra take a while to accumulate back together, but if we were going by the size and the mass and the power of the beasts, the one-tail should have already been here. He turned his gaze towards none other than Zetsu, the spy of the organization. I have been unable to locate anything about either of them. It seems we will just have to wait. All we've been doing is waiting. When are these things going to show up? Hidan, a member of the immortal duo, dubbed by Kisame, partner of Itachi Uchiha, spoke up not liking the long time period of wait. When the leader gazed over towards him, though, he became quiet. The hunt for the tailed beasts will not begin until we have confirmation on the 9 and 1 tails. They are the beginning and the end, and that is where we will start. He dismissed all of them as they continue to bring in funds for the organization to keep them afloat. Meanwhile, within the premise of the Land of Hills, Kakashi Hatake, Tanto in hand, looked down towards the body of his enemy. Kakashi was not dressed as a jonin anymore. He asked for this, more like begged for this. The curse had followed him. Just like before, he was the last member of Team 7 left. He was sure that Naruto and Sasuke weren't dead, but they weren't here either. And Naruto being gone and Sasuke unable to find a trace of him either. Well, there was so much to unpack there. 3.5 years ago, when he arrived back to the village, it was a good thing that Might Guy had arrived before him. They were able to lend their assistance to the children that were dispatched, and all members were brought back alive. None of them had died. If one of them had taken their final breath, things would have been much more severe for Sasuke, because from the reports, he deliberately went away with the enemy. No one had any idea in the beginning what happened with Naruto. The implications that Sasuke had struck him down was very large, but they found a note which made them understand. He knew that Naruto perhaps never forgave him for not being there for him. He always knew that Naruto was a complex person that doesn't go by the norm. He wasn't naive. He wasn't an idiot that you can manipulate with words. He breaks through everything to see the reality of what the world they were in. But that has driven him to parts that they can't come back from. And Jiraiya has been on the hunt, and there has been absolutely nothing. Kakashi released a sigh. Once again, curse. Always curse. Kakashi could never truly move on. He was condemned to a fate of always being alone. He can never have true peace, and that was his curse to bear. Meanwhile, Jiraiya of the Sannin was currently residing within a bar. He wasn't drunk yet, but he was getting there. Jiraiya always dubbed himself as a failure due to all the atrocities that he could never stop from happening. Time after time again. He lost faith more times than he can count within the prophecy that was given to him. He wasn't any guider or anything. Minato died. The Rinnegan user died. Naruto was gone. Who was the great hero that would bring great changes to the world that he was supposed to guide? They were all gone. The other two were dead, and if Naruto was alive, he wanted nothing to do with him. How couldn't he have saw the signs? He saw how different Naruto was being, but due to him wanting to build a rapport with the child, he fooled himself in believing that everything was alright, but it wasn't. It wasn't one bit. It was just an act in order to wait for the right moment for him to leave. And now, 3.5 years, and there has been nothing. If anyone is gone this long within the elemental nation, especially someone that is less than 14 years old, they would be considered dead. And maybe that was the case. Once again he failed as he gazed into the heavens. Perhaps Naruto was there with his parents. Perhaps they were all happy. And he was tearing himself down for nothing. But yet he could not forgive himself, because he was to blame. Maybe if he had been there, the child wouldn't have seen things the way he saw things. He wouldn't have dived into this darkness of the ninja world like he did. Hiruzen was a Hokage. He had so much on his plate, but he had time and he was never there for him. So he did not fault Naruto for never forgiving him. He deserved it. He grabbed the bottle as he took it from the bartender. As the shots were not getting him drunk fast enough, he started to gulp it down. Meanwhile that was going on, at the Land of Lightning, it was a rather peaceful day. They've been at peace for some time now. Within the heart of Kumo, the second in most people's eyes, most powerful village, well, there was a toss-up between them and the Hidden Stone. The Raikage, a dark-skinned, bulky, muscular man, along with a white coat, massive bracers on his arms that was used for strength training, was currently within his office. His village had weathered through time after time again, and they will continue to do so. However, since rising this morning, he's had this bad feeling that something was gonna happen. It seems like his intuition was greater than he thought. The door opened up as he was interrupted by his secretary, Mabi. However, when he looked up towards her gaze, he noticed something was wrong. As Mabi stepped inside, she proceeded to collapse. The Raikage blitzed towards her. As he caught her, checking her pulse, she was alive. Just unconscious. "You're fast," a voice said. The Raikage turned his gaze to see someone standing there, gazing through his massive window that overlooked the structure of his village. Rising to his feet. "Who are you?" he said. "And how did you get in here?" "That's not important." As he took a good look at the person, they were obviously female. Judging by their stature, they seemed to be within their early 20s perhaps. They had dark hair. Shiny, dark hair. However, their face was obscured by a strange mask. The mask almost seemed glued onto her face. The structure of the mask had the cloth that ran down her neck, covering even her neck. Almost all of her was covered by a tight bodysuit with a leather clothing over it. The part of her arms that were obscured were the elbows stopping right below before it could go down. And there were strange markings like tattoos on her arms. Her hand covered in black, long gloves. Tattoos on the back of the gloves as well, as they were imprinted in a red description. She definitely had the womanly asset of someone in her early 20s. An amazing figure as she stood there, standing at roughly 5'7". So the Raikage was much bigger than her, and taller as well. He blitzed towards her, yet she showed no fear. She did not even turn to face him. "I will give you one opportunity to tell me how did you enter this place." If there was a lax in his security, he wanted to know. "And what did you do to Mabi?" he asked. "I apologize for my bad manners." The woman said, "My name is She." She, the Raikage, narrowed his gaze. In their culture, that word stands for many things. The kanji stand for a loss of emotion, dying, empty. But the main one was death. The Raikage wondered who was this person. To talk to him so casually, to turn their back to him. In a couple of minutes, someone will come to this village. He desire a meeting with you to save innocent life from going to waste. It is best that you come to speak to him without any sort of tricks. Because if you do, he will not hesitate to slaughter hundreds, maybe thousands to gain your attention. The Raikage had lashed out as he tried to grab the back of her neck, but his hand passed through nothing. She was now standing on the opposite side of the room. He looked at his hand rather shocked. He will be here shortly. I hope you do the right thing. It would be a waste for so many innocent people, not just within your village, but the land of lightning itself, to die. With that, she vanished away in a dark mist, like she was never there. The moment she vanished, Mabi woke up. The Raikage turned to face her. What happened? She said, confused. I was hoping that you can tell me that, he said, angered by someone so easily walking into his office and leaving at the same time. Meanwhile, said woman made her way as she was standing on a rocky cliff area. I thought you said you were going to quit, she questioned. The person that was seated there had his back turned to her as he blew smoke. They've become too comforting, I guess. I've broken my word to myself. Over the past years, cigarettes have become rather comforting. They soothe the feelings that stirred within him. The person sat down next to him. I've informed them of everything that is going to take place. About your arrival. Good. After this last one, he said. There was a moment of silence between the two. This is it, she questioned. The beginning of the end. As she turned towards him. Yes, it is, he said. How does that make you feel, he questioned she. I don't know, she said to him. I suppose you would say that. But don't worry. It is as I promised, and nothing will make me break that promise. Thank you, she said. He rose to his feet, showing his impressive height, now standing at 6'2". He's grown a lot since. He proceeded to unclip the coat that he was wearing as he folded. She took it in her arms. As he stretched his arms and gazed down at the scenery below, his spiky hair never changing. It was a bit taller though, and the spikes looked more pronounced to fit his structure. Standing there in all of his might was Naruto Uzumaki. A lot has changed for him in the past couple of years. Judging by his muscular stature, which was not as muscular as a Raikage but slim fit. He was wearing a tight black shirt that seemed to compress on his very skin itself. He was wearing a golden obi wrapped around his waist with a long end stretching down towards near to his knee. He was wearing dark gray pants which were a bit baggy and comfortable footwear. There was something strapped across his chest. Underneath the shirt you could see from the small little lump there, because on his back was a holster. There was a handle that was sticking out as it belonged to a blade. On the obi, if you look closer you could see that There was inscriptions, flowing due to markers on it. Seal in storage. He started to walk as he placed a hand over his eyes and focus. It seems your warning has stirred them up quite a bit. She extended her hand. Shall we? He placed his hand in hers, and they vanished in black smoke. Within the center of the village, the two of them reappeared. The moment they were noticed, they were flanked immediately. You see, this village was special in many ways. You had two sections. You had the area where most of the civilians resided, and the area where most of the shinobis reside, due to the thinning air, because they were on a much higher platform. But being constantly trained in this, it had the benefit of allowing one to normally coexist within this environment. So there was no casualties that were around to suffer for the innocent civilians. Surrounded as he was, with she by his side, Naruto proceeded to stand there and wait. Someone approached, as if they were going to subdue him. The Raikage didn't seem to be there, having already released word, but he wasn't there himself just yet. As the ninja stepped in to try to subdue Naruto, their eyes met, and the man froze in his tracks. This boy, with just a gaze alone, froze up a Jonin like it was nothing. His hands were shaking as he saw the depths behind those eyes. It was like he was being swallowed by an ocean. Another person within the crowd collapsed. His name was C, blonde hair, as he was taking deep breaths. A hand was placed on his shoulder. What's wrong? C was having a hard time maintaining his senses. A moment ago, as Naruto had turned to face that man, C was a sensor and he felt it. It was like his senses were ripped out, soaked in chakra and pushed back in. The crowd started to part away as the Raikage in all of his might descended upon the two, stopping inches away from the both of them. So this is the person that you were talking about. His question was to she. Yes, and it seems like you took to my word rather well. That's good, she said. Who the hell are you people, the Raikage said, and give me one reason why I shouldn't end the both of you right here and now. Naruto placed both of his hands in his pockets. I have big dreams for the elemental nation, but there are some complications in the way. Starting with the tail beasts, he said as he started to walk. However, he was barely moving from where he stood. He was just walking around she, who did not move one bit. His gaze was not even looking at the Raikage. The man felt insulted, disrespected at this brat, casually acting like he wasn't a threat. Lightning started to spark on him. His temper was something else. I wouldn't advise doing something like that. If you attack me without letting me finish my statement, I'll kill 50 people. And if you do it again, it will be 100. And again, 150. So each punch that you throw, you'll be risking 50 lives. The Raikage gaze snapped around, trying to pinpoint any other that would be aiding him. Oh, don't worry. There is no one else here but me and her. So you have nothing to worry about. Hearing that, the Raikage sped as his hand slammed within Naruto's neck, ready to take his head clean off. Lariat, he said, lightning coating around him. Tired of the disrespect, the others descended upon Chi to chop her into tiny pieces. However, 5 out of the 8 that jumped were sent sailing away as they crashed. But they weren't the only ones. The Raikage crashed hard through a building and another. He pushed the rubble and dust off himself. The Raikage looked down towards his arm. Impossible, he thought to himself. A few seconds ago, as he blitzed towards Naruto's arm outstretched to remove his head, he saw Naruto's eyes turn to face him. He was keeping up with his speed. Naruto moved back. To the outside view, it would seem like the Raikage hit him, but actuality, Naruto moved back. He then gripped the Raikage arm and pulled it, overpowering his lariat, before he slapped him with the inside of his palm, right in his chest. The Raikage looked down and saw the handprint, burnt into his very flesh. Bursting back to his feet. When the Raikage arrived, they were nowhere to be found. Boom! An explosion went off, speeding there, surpassing everyone else. The land of lightning was under attack. The Raikage saw bodies as civilians ran to their shelter. Naruto stood beside the man. The Raikage had swift, trying to take Naruto's head off. Instincts. Naruto backpedaled. Don't worry. 50 more will not die for that. I suppose I can say I snuck up on you. It was only instincts. Now, can we have a proper conversation? Or would you rather risk 50 more of your people? If you believe that my statement is false, you can go and check for yourself. The Raikage had no idea how he was pulling this off. There had to be someone else. And because of him, 50 of his people just died. He reined in his anger. He needed to play the calm part in order to find out what was going on. What the hell do you want? He said. I must apologize for using innocent life to foster my goals, but I'm afraid if it was your own, you would not. Give me the time of day. As I was saying, I desire a change in this shinobi system. I desire a change in this world. And to begin that change, I must ask that you hand over your tail pieces to me. You expect me to hand something over to you after what you just did. The Raikage said, clenching his fist, barely reeling in his anger. Oh, this is just a formality. I will be taking them, said Naruto. I will not tell you when I'll be coming, but I'll be coming in the near future. You must be the strongest person in this planet, or you must be a naive fool to warn me before you make a move. Well, it's neither, said Naruto. I have my reasons. This will just be the first step. I want you to understand that. Once this is done, larger changes will be taking place. I know that you will try to fight against me. All the others will try to fight against me as well. However, take this as a prime example. Because if my actions are not met, if the future that I desire does not come to fruition in 2 years' time, 2 years, everything should be different. I'm not expecting great changes. However, in 2 years' time, my plan should be in full throttle. If it's not, I will wipe out half of each nation, civilian and ninjas alike, leaving back only half of each population. The Raikage fist was trembling. Do you really think anyone will listen to these dumb, stupid guidance that you have to give about changing this world? Let me tell you this. You're not the first to try to do something like this, and you will not be the last. But you will be dead very soon. I understand your anger, but that doesn't change what's gonna happen. I can see how much you wish to take me on, but please, don't risk your people for my sake. It will just be a waste. I'll be seeing you very soon. With that, she placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and they both vanished In black smoke, they reappear a distance away. They're going to fight you, you know that, right? They will never simply bow down to you. I know. I've already told you what I'm willing to do. In order to bring the future that I showed you some time ago to the reality that we now desired. She stepped towards him. But what it will cost you? Are you really willing to risk all of that? Yes, I am. And you know why. She went quiet. How do you think they will all feel about this? Especially her. How do you think she would feel knowing what you're doing because of her death? She said she was talking about Sakura. Naruto stepped forward as she took a step back, looking rather afraid. Despite wearing the mask, she looked afraid. I told you to not bring her up when you're trying to convince me otherwise. I've warned you about this. I'm sorry, said she. Naruto's face changed back to normal. It's alright. You're my friend, and I don't desire to harm you. But please, don't talk about her, said Naruto. She nodded. Come on, it's time that we move out. Word spread quickly around the land of fire about what took place within the land of lightning. The description of the one that caused all of this mayhem was spreading. Word quickly reached Jiraiya and Sneddy afterwards. Could it really be Naruto? Meanwhile, Kabuto Yakushi was walking down the hallway as he came to a stop. He gazed at the door that was in front of him, a smile on his face. It seems your little buddy has resurfaced once again. Within that room, two eyes open up. The powerful Sharingan as they gaze out. Meanwhile, it seems like the Nine-Tails has resurfaced once again. A former description of him has been leaked to the populace. An attack on Kumo. Even the leader of the organization was curious about this. Naruto's features had a distinguished mark. The whisker marks on his cheeks. Find out what is going on immediately. Zetsu nodded and immediately left to find out what was going on. And why did the Nine-Tails attack Kumo? Just what in the world was the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki doing? Meanwhile at the San, residing in his office was Baki, right hand to the Kazekage, teacher of his children. He was given the title after there was no other to take such title. The San had been weakened greatly, as they were just trying to get back on their feet, having to pay Konoha in many ways more than one, to ensure that their partnership remained as it is. The Anvu guards in the room was there as usual, when suddenly, they started to collapse. Baki was confused, looking around as he watched all of his 4 guards collapse. He got to his feet. However, a hand grabbed his shoulder and pushed him down. He looked up into a masked face. I wouldn't advise doing that if I were you. The person spoke to him, it was she. However, he felt something, sitting down in a chair in front of his desk. As he saw those eyes, this was him. He's changed a lot, but this was him. The one that put an end to the Kazekage line, wiping out all of his children. News had reached the San about what happened within Kumo in such a quick time. Baki tensed himself. I wouldn't advise doing anything stupid. She will kill you before you even move. Naruto said to him, what do you want? Baki said, you know, my first thoughts of this place was to destroy it Baki tensed even more. Don't worry, that was some time ago. Your Jinjulki was the one that killed. The most important person in this world to me. He snuffed her out because he wanted me to feel pain. So I killed him and his siblings. And because of that, I'm forced to go down this path. So you blame Gaara for what he did. And what now? Choosing to take your anger out on the village. Yes, in the past. I desired to come here and wipe it off the map. But that is no longer my desire. You don't have a tail beast anymore. So the first part of my plan does not involves you. It is simple. In the near future, I will come here with a big plan, a change. A change that you will have to agree to. If you don't, I will kill half of your village. And you as well. And ask my question once more. If this was anyone else, Baki would believe that they were some complex idiotic fool. However, this young man that stood in front of him, with the gaze in his eyes alone, Baki felt this overwhelming sensation, like what he said was doable, with just a flick of his wrist, like he could blink and erase them out of existence. Was he that much afraid of this person? Was he that terrified of this individual that was residing in front of him? As he gazed into those eyes, he swallowed thickly. Don't worry, you will have time to prepare, time to speak with your allies. You will not be the first, but you won't be the last either. So I hope you have your mind for the protection of your own. But the others will follow as well, unless they desire destruction. Naruto said getting to his feet, and just like they came, as she put a hand on Naruto's shoulder and they vanished. At Kiri, Mei Terumi, leader of the village, released a heavy breath. Not too long ago, her village was going up against a lot. An internal civil war that claimed the life of many. And after all those years, it finally came to an end. Given all that she's accomplished, all that she did for the village, she was greeted with the title of Mizukage. And now, rumors are spreading around the world about none other than a man which is said to be the Jinjuliki of Konoha, who is threatening the nations. A man that is somehow able to enter these villages without anyone stopping him or anyone stopping him from leaving. It's been 4 days since he stepped foot in the land of wind and stepped foot into the sand village, and no one could do something about it. He stepped and left. Since then, he has been, well, missing. Many expect him to visit the other nations, but it seems like he wasn't coming after them, or perhaps this was just a tactic for them to weaken their defenses, for them to not be ready. Her guards were watching her tower, and there were some inside as well. I truly respect you, you know that. She froze. What the hell? Her guards immediately leaped from their spot, moving to her defense, as Mei slowly rose out of her chair. She raised her hand, stopping them. Keeping herself calm, this person was able to step into her office without anyone seeing him. That was impossible. The guards on the outside and the ones on the inside did not see until he said something. She stopped them. This person had some secrets and strength that, well, would cause a lot of damage. And to prevent their people from suffering, she decided to hear what he had to say. And that is why I respect you, said Naruto. You're willing to put your pride aside for your people. And I know why. It's because of what you went through. The civil war of seeing your people fighting your own because of a mad tyrant. I suppose in many ways people would see me as a mad tyrant as well. But it's different. Is that so? You seem to know quite a lot about me and what I've been through. Who are you exactly? You already know who I am. So, everything is correct. You're the Jinchuriki from Konoha. What have you been up to exactly, she said. Last I heard, you were supposed to be a very small child. Nothing too important, but look at you now. A tall, handsome man, she said. I appreciate the compliment, said Naruto. Would you mind standing with me, he asked. Sure, she said. She stood by his side as they gazed over the village. So, why are you doing this? I figured, if I want change, I had to make change for myself. Don't worry, I won't harm you or anyone here. From what I've heard, that isn't quite true. I see. The Raikage has been spilling wrong information. I warned him not to attack me, but he did. And in turn, you slaughtered over 50 people there. If I might ask how, she said. Come on now. We all have our secrets. So, what is this proposition that you have for me? It is rather simple. I desire a change. A change that can only be committed when everyone comes together. And I'm not talking about the 5 great nations. As much as you guys believe that you're the only important ones, you're not. I've spoken to a few already, and they seem to understand, and I believe unlike some of the others, you would see the truth. You have feel what it felt like to be under the thumb of a mad tyrant. You understand the pain and suffering that you went through to keep your people safe. You watched countless of your people die because of idiocy, and I'm sure that you never want something like that again. The world is peaceful now, but a single pin can unravel everything that has been holding together, and my stepping into it has already caused ripple effects that cannot be undone. One's strength always has a benefit and a backlash that other nations will try to exploit. Unfortunately though, there's not much I can do about it. I warned the others that I would wipe out half of their village and slaughter them if they do not do as I say. I suppose that does make me a tyrant in a way, but I will not give you that same warning because I think you're different. I've been watching you. I saw how much you struggle. Oh? Now that is a bit strange, she said. Oh, don't worry, he said. I must admit, you're a truly stunning, amazing woman, he said, looking at her from head to toe. However, I'm afraid that I can't express those kind of feelings. And why not, she asks. I'm afraid there's nothing there to express, he said to her, with a smile on his face. But behind that smile she saw so much pain and suffering. So much broken mess that she couldn't even begin to unravel. She was confused. Was this really the one that has been threatening people? Yet he was so open with her, so relaxed as he rested a hand on her shoulder. She did not even feel like he was an enemy. I truly apologize for the inconvenience, but this is something that has to be done. I will be seeing you in the future, he said. Before I go, he snapped his finger as she arrived. But she was not alone. The unconscious Utakata was there. Don't worry, he's alive. However, the tail beast that once resided inside of him is now in my control. May look down towards the ground. So you're taking that power for yourself. I presume this is how you're going to threaten the other nations with? A tool of destruction, she asks. Not really, he said. How did you prevent his death? If you remove the tailed beast, she questioned. I have my ways. No one deserved to die for something that wasn't your fault. You seem so gentle, so kind, yet you're willing to slaughter without hesitation. What kind of man are you, she questioned. He straightened himself up. A very complex person, he said, as she placed a hand on his shoulder. May was looking at him as he moved. Even if she wanted to attack him, there was just something off. Like something was watching her even when his back was turned. And it wasn't his accomplice. So what was it? Time skip. As word spread over the village and through the elemental nation, Oniki had made sure that his Jinjurikis were hidden. He wouldn't allow anyone to take his ultimate power. As he was making his way back to his office, as he was making sure that his defense was strong, healthy, to make sure that no one could... Hello there. Oniki blinked in shock. 4 guards that reside in his office was on the ground unconscious, and someone was sitting in his chair. Rather uncomfortable, I must say, said Naruto. However, given your stature, I say that it's perfect for you. Oniki floated upwards, ready to turn him into dust. He trapped Naruto within his particle style, a cube, as he was about to turn him into nothing. If you would like to see your granddaughter again, I would advise not doing that. Oniki paused. What? You heard me. After all, to step into your office, make my demands, I have to have my insurance, don't you think? Where is she? Oniki said. Tell me now! Come on now. Why would I do that? If I do, you would kill me, wouldn't you? Naruto said as he got up and stepped through the particle. What? Oniki questioned his sanity as Naruto stepped right through it. Oniki disassembled the cube. So you're the one going around threatening people, and now you choose to take my granddaughter. Oh, once our conversation is done, I'll return her. I promise. He said as he looked at Oniki. What the hell do you want? Oniki said. I simply want the tail beasts that you have at your disposal. Don't worry, I'm not here for them today. You can do as you please, hide them, protect them, but I will take them. I just wanted you to know. Afterwards, we're going to sit down and have a conversation. Not just you and me, but all of us. About changing the structure of the elemental nation. I have big plans. Big plans that will cause many of you to go against me. However, if my actions are not submitted, if a world I don't see come to fruition, in around 2 years' time, I will destroy half of each nation and leave the others the memories of the mistake that their others made. And because of you stubborn leaders, thousands, hundreds of thousands will die. But that is for the future. This is just my warning. I have other things to do. So I will be seeing you shortly. He snapped his finger as she arrived with the unconscious Kurosaki. I apologize for what I've done. I never mean to cause you any distress. After all, if you follow by what I have to show you within the future, we don't have to be enemies. Once again, a young upstart, believing that he can take what he deserves and take what is not his. You think you have the power to change the world. You will be shocked to see how much defense go against you. I already know that. He said as she touched his shoulder as they vanished. He quickly moved towards Kurosaki and checked her, but she was fine. Time skip. A house within Konoha was surrounded. This house belonged to the parents of Sakura Haruno. They lost their daughter over 3.5 years ago. A jonin on standby, who was making his way had saw Naruto Uzumaki step into said house, immediately alerting the others. Tsunade Senju arrived, backed by her 4 envoys. She looked to said jonin, who gave her a nod. He's still in there, Hokage-sama. Tsunade gazed up as she saw Kakashi jumping down. She looked towards him. However, she waited outside. Kurenai Yui and none other than Inoichi Yamanaka arrived. She wanted them by her side. As they stepped inside, Tsunade leading the charge. The house was big enough to accommodate all of them, of course. "We're in here," the voice of Mabuki Haruno said. They stepped in as they all saw tea. But the strange part was 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cups of smoking tea for them. How on earth did they know that it will be the 4th them entering? Tsunade turned their gaze. Kakashi turned his gaze as their gaze locked on him. There he was. After all of these years. Naruto. Uzumaki. As he smiled at them. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.